Hi everybody, I'm Jacob. That's not Jacob. I'm Jacob. Hi everybody, I'm Jacob, and I'm here in the David and Jean Wiley Invention Convention, and I am the Maker Education Manager here at Children's Museum Houston. And today, I think what we're going to show you guys how to do is how to make your own shadow puppet theater at home. Here in the David and Jean Wiley Foundation Invention Convention, we have a couple of components where you do animation. We have the cranks and cams right here. We have stop motion over there. We also used to have a shadow puppet component. So today, we are going to make our own little shadow puppet theater. You guys ready? All right, come on. So, in order to do this at home, you're going to need, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. So you're going to need a piece of paper, which could also be parchment paper. Right now I'm just going to use plain old printer paper. I'm guessing that's what you guys have at home. But if it's construction paper or anything, you really want it to be white if you can get that. But whatever you have at home should work. You need a box of some sort. I have a little Thin Mints box here, though you could use any kind of cardboard box or even a cereal box, some kind of packaging. Really what you're looking for is that it's stiffer than paper. You want it to be able to stand up without flopping over. So anything like that. You're going to need scissors. You're going to need tape. You're going to need something to write with. And finally, you're going to need a light source. So I have a flashlight right here. You could use a lamp, whatever you have, but you need some sort of a light source. All right. So to start, you're going to break down the box. So if your box is closed up like this, you can just kind of open it up. I'm just kind of ripping at this point. And now, this is the fun part. You have all these flaps, right? You're going to probably want to cut the flaps off. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. Just cutting through the cardboard. I have a nice big scissor here to work with. If you guys only have small scissors, it's going to be a little harder, but it'll still work. You can ask your parents for help if you're having any trouble cutting the cardboard, because it can be a little tough. If you're using a cereal box, I think that would be a little bit easier because it's not quite as thick. And I'm just going to do one side. I'm going to leave the flaps on the bottom just to make it easier. And I do suggest holding on to the cardboard you cut off, because you could use it later to create your puppets. So anything you cut off could be used in the future. You can recycle it and use it to create whatever shadow puppets you want. All right, I got the flaps off the top. If you really want it to be very clean, you could do the flaps off the bottom too, but I'm gonna just go ahead and leave it at that. They might even help it stand up in the future. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just cut off one side. So this is gonna be my front. I'm gonna cut off the back. And you really want your front to be big enough for at least the piece of paper to be on. If it's smaller than that, that's okay. You can cut the piece of paper down, but the more room you have, the more room you have to make your puppet theater. So really the biggest side you want to have as your front. So what I'm going to do is, actually I can just rip this part because it's just glued on there. And now I'm going to cut through this side here. Always be careful with your scissors. Safety first. If you need help from your grown-up, you can always ask. All right, now we got the basic shape of our theater, right? It has the sides where it can stand up. These flaps actually will help me keep it standing. So if you want to keep those bottom flaps on like I did, that's fine. I might actually even put a little piece of tape to keep that shape going. Just to keep it like that. Do the other side too. All right, so now what we are going to do is we're going to take our writing utensil and our piece of paper. And you're just going to mark, you're going to put the piece of paper on the inside of your theater, and you're just going to mark where it hits, where the edges are of the paper. See, mine goes all the way to the top, so I don't need to mark the top or the bottom edges. If yours doesn't go all the way to the top, you are going to want to mark those. So I'm just going to mark this edge here and this edge here. And that is not where I'm going to cut. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure about 1 inch in from those edges. And I don't have a ruler on me, which you might not either. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use my knuckle. I'm just gonna go like that, put my knuckle right there, and make a little mark. I'm gonna do that on the other side too. Make a little mark, and that looks good enough to me. And then I'm just gonna kind of make a mark that's about the same amount in from both the top and the bottom too. If you have a bigger box than I do, you're gonna wanna do the same thing with the piece of paper to make those marks. So the same things I did on the side, you're gonna wanna do on the top and bottom of the paper. All right, now this is kind of the hard part because I'm gonna cut kind of a square inside of all these marks, but it's not super easy to cut inside of a cardboard box. So first I'm gonna start right here and just kind of with the edge of the scissor poke a hole. And I can get let's see if I can get the scissor. Yeah, got it in. And it's really hard to cut because there's no room for the scissors to be. So if you can just like start with yeah, there we go. And I like to just start by making a small hole. And that gives you a little bit more room to cut once you've made that small hole to work with. So see, I got this little triangle going. And now I have a little bit more room to work. So I can go like that, and it's way easier to cut in a straight line now. I'd like to just keep doing it in those small increments. Just keep making more holes to give myself more room. It could be a little bit tricky. There we go. Now we're getting some more room to work with. Cutting along those inside lines. And I'm kind of going rough. I'm gonna do the corners later because I really just want to get most of it done. And then I'll make the outsides look nice afterwards. Because again, it's kind of hard to control until you have a big space to work within. So that looks a lot better now. And I'm gonna go straight, get those corners done. My box is a little bit bendy, so sometimes the scissors get caught on it, but that's okay. It's gonna work out just fine. All right, I'm gonna do the corners over here just to make it look like a square. So you don't necessarily have to make it a square. You could make it a circle, whatever shape you want for your little theater, but I'm gonna go for just a square because I'm used to squares. All right, that looks okay for now. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. So we have our little theater there, and what we're gonna do now is, my tape from earlier obviously didn't work. I'm going to put my piece of paper right here, and actually I'm gonna cut it down a little bit. Give myself room to tape it down. All right, I'm gonna put it right here. And it doesn't really matter where it is as long as it covers the entire hole that you've cut out in your box. And I'm just gonna tape all four sides. 1, 2. You don't really need to overdo it, but you want to have enough tape. It can be any kind of tape too, but you want to have enough so that it doesn't fall off. You can always retape it later. All right, there's my little theater. See? Okay, so I'm gonna put it right here in the way that you make it work. Let's get it standing up nice and steady here. In the way, let me reapply this tape so that it stays standing. See, my little flaps are pushing away on each other. If I just put a big piece of tape here, that should do the trick for now. You can do more if you need to, but I think that'll do it for now. That looks good. All right, so now I'm just gonna make a quick little person. You can cut the cardboard you've already made. You can make a little tracing and cut that out of a person or whatever you want to have in your puppet show. Or you could just use anything else you have on hand. I know you guys are all familiar with Forky, so I'm going to make a little spoony character. So let's see, I got tape, I got a spoon, and I got a little craft stick for arms. We have all of this stuff here, but whatever you guys have at home is fine. you can really work with anything, just making the shapes that will cast a certain kind of shadow. You could even just put your hands in front of the light when we set it up here, and that should be fine enough. But this is going to be my little guy for now. I went simple in the interest of time, but if you guys want to spend some more time creating your puppet, it probably will look a little bit better than that. And I'm going to put it up here so that you can see. And I'm going to take my flashlight, turn it on, and come around that back here. And there you go. So you have to get it backlit, and I'm going to just prop my flashlight up as best as I can. Let's use this. And that looks okay for now. There we go. And then you put your guy up to it. You have a little shadow theater. Hello, I'm Spoonie. So yeah, that's how you create your own at-home shadow puppet theater. Again, if you don't have just a cardboard box, you can use a cereal box, a macaroni and cheese box. If you don't have a flashlight, you can use a lamp. You can use any light source that you have. You can even put it in front of a bright window in a dark room. That might work. You can use whatever you want for the puppets. For the paper, I use regular printer paper, but white construction paper, parchment paper, anything that will let the light through enough, but also cover up the light so that you can see the shadow on it and nothing else. That's really what you're going for. So thank you. This was, I'm Jacob again, Maker Education Manager, and we are finishing up here in the David and Jean Wiley Foundation Invention Convention exhibit. Hope you guys are doing all right at home.